We're all shopping for essentials online these days, and now you can get rewarded for it. With the Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping. The essentials have never felt more rewarding. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding to apply now. Copyright 2021, Bank of America Corporation.
This episode is brought to you by the NBA. From the squeak of shoes on the hardwood to the tips of their fingers, it's a mesmerizing dance of jaw-dropping dunks, heartbreaking blocks, and mind-blowing steals. It's the most fantastic athletes in the world who make your heart beat out of your chest and make you want to jump into the screen and be right on the court with them. That's the NBA. That's game. Don't miss the NBA playoffs going on now.
What up, Speak For Yourself listener? It's RJ Young, host of the #1 ranked show for all your college football news, the strongest takes in the sport on the latest news in the sport. You know we gonna keep it 100 like Wiley and Acho. I'm here to give you mo. Subscribe to the #1 ranked show wherever it is you get your podcast, on the YouTubes. I hope to see you soon.
Welcome to Speak For Yourself. It's your boy, Emmanuel Acho, without Marcellus right now, but I'm going to keep it rolling. I got to tell y'all what I just realized. Lakers fans, y'all ain't got nothing to worry about. It's about to be a cakewalk through the Western Conference all the way up until the finals. Now, why? In life, in business, and in sports, experience matters. And what I realized is the Lakers, one man, LeBron James, they got all the experience. Yes, they dominated the Suns last night, but I'm not even talking about that, because when I look at the entire Western Conference, they dominate everybody when it comes to experience. Now, let's just look at the Western Conference, right? Jazz, Suns, Clippers, Nuggets, Mavs, Blazers, they're all ahead of the Lakers. Now, I don't even know who's going to be in the A seed. It gets too muddled down there, so I'm not going to talk about that. But when you start to look at the 1 through 6 seeds, all the teams ahead of the Lakers, they pale in comparison when it comes to chips. Let's start it off with the 1 seed, the Jazz. Now, the Jazz got some dudes. They got some dudes. Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's a dude. Spidey Mitchell, when he's healthy, we all know he is a dude. But when you look at the Jazz's 5 starters, none of the 5 have ever won an NBA championship. Now, how about the 2-seeded Suns? Chris Paul, top 5 all-time in steals. Chris Paul, top 5 all-time in assists. Devin Booker is a walking bucket. But nobody on the Suns starting lineup has ever won a chip. How about the Clippers? Now, Clip City, Chip City. I got you, Marcellus. I'm going to show some love. Yes, Kawhi, he's won 2. Serge Ibaka, he's won 1. But the Clippers might be the only team you even have to think about fearing if you're the Lakers. Because when we move on to the 4 seed in them Nuggets, the Joker should absolutely win MVP this season. Make no mistake about it. Jamal Murray, you get healthy, big dog. But that's a big goose egg when it comes to NBA championships among the Nugget starters. 5 seed, who is it? The Mavs, led by Luka, the Dawn, Porzingis, a bad man as well. But that's a young team, still a ways away from winning. So the Mavs, goose egg when it comes to their starters that have ever won NBA championships. And the 6th seed, the last team that seeded ahead of the Lakers, right there at 6, the Trailblazers. Now, we know the Blazers got dudes. They got Dame. They got CJ. They actually have 1 chip amongst their starters, and it's Norman Powell? So as I look at it, y'all, when it comes down to experience being the trump card, and I played for a couple Hall of Fame coaches who told me this, hey, Acho, I've forgotten more football than you've ever learned. When I think about LeBron James, he got 4 NBA championships. That's the same number of all the starters for the seeds sitting ahead of him combined. Lakers, in my mind, have nothing to worry about. But let me bring in a first-round pick, a Fox NBA analyst, Jim Jackson, 15-year NBA vet. So, Jim J, you tell me this. How you feel about the Lakers?
First of all, I like the presentation you just had right there. You kind of broke down and brought everything together. So I'm going to give you some love on that. Great homework. But it's a great homework. But here's the thing about the Lakers. You're correct in this aspect. Any team that has LeBron James, you're always going to have a chance to compete for a title. Now, other factors are involved. Health is one of them that we've seen throughout the year. The challenge with the Lakers this year is this. Are they still the team to beat when healthy? Yes. Now, if they end up in the 7th seed and have to play in the play-in game, the road to get to the finals is a little bit more exaggerated in regards to what you have to go through. It's different than being a 2 seed, 1 seed, where you know that you have home court advantage, which they can get by winning the game on the road. But also your path is different because you don't have to go through some of the tougher assignments to get to the final. That's the challenge the Lakers have to face right now, being in the lower half of the playoff picture. Can they still do it when healthy? Yes. But the path this year, Acho, is a lot different for the Lakers.
I like that. I like that. Let's bring in NBA analyst Slick Rick the Bucher. Because, Slick Rick, you heard my thoughts. You heard Jim J's thoughts. The path is definitely different. The path is definitely tougher. But where you stand, Slick, how do you feel about the Lakers?
Cautiously optimistic. And stop it, Acho, with saying you didn't even think about last night's game, because if without last night's win, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. If we're coming off the disappointing losses to the Blazers and the Clippers, this is not the A block, Acho, so stop it. And if you look at what happened against the Suns, it was not true to form for either team. The Lakers won both the three-point shooting contest and the free throws by a wide margin. That's simply not how the Suns, on average, have performed this season in those two categories. They're a great free throw shooting team. They don't shoot more free throws than most, but they don't lose the free throw shooting game as definitively as they did last night, and they generally win the three-point shooting contest. So that is a factor. This is a little bit of an outlier when it comes to it. But that said, the Lakers did demonstrate, even without LeBron James, what they are capable of. And when I look at the play-in teams that they would have to face, if that's where they end up, and who they would then face as a result, which is these same Phoenix Suns, then I feel good about them getting into the real playoffs and having a series to get everybody together and get their mojo back. But you keep talking about experience, and this collection of Lakers does not have the experience. We're not looking at them as the same Lakers as the ones that won in the bubble, because it's simply not the same team.
Okay, Slick. Hey now. Before I address you, I got to get to you, Jim J, because, you said that LeBron and injuries and health, it matters. I'm with you there. We all know that. But when I watch that Suns game and I see a Lakers team without their first best player, without their third best player, without their fourth best player, dismantle a Suns team, and Slick, we can say that the Suns were out of character. But I go back to this, Jim J. We all know the quote, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But what happens when talent does work hard? Highlight of the game for me, y'all. I don't know if y'all was still awake. It was 9:20. It was about 1:26 in the fourth quarter. Anthony Davis, strained calf and all, diving on the floor. Wherewithal to dive on the floor, but bigger wherewithal to call the timeout. They still had an 8-point lead. You ain't need to do all that, AD. You about 7 feet tall. For what? But what happens when talent does work hard? Without their first, third, and fourth best player, they still dismantled the Suns. For that reason, I think they could probably not skate by all teams, but they could get by most teams except the Clippers, even without LeBron James. Is that an asinine thought, Jim Jackson?
You are crazy. You know that, right? You are crazy. No, it's not asinine. But I'm not going to say the second team can't. The problem is this. We saw a one-game scenario there with Phoenix. They were at home. Great. Everybody played up. You know why? Because there was a sense of urgency knowing that they didn't want to be in that 7th spot. So you saw that desperation, so to speak, a controlled desperation early with the Lakers against this Phoenix Suns team. And to boot, this is a really good matchup for the Lakers without LeBron James, this Phoenix Suns team. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. If they don't have LeBron or Dennis Schroeder, and let's say they play against Utah, I don't think that the result is the same, because Utah presents a different kind of formula and problem for the Lakers. So you can't look at it like, okay, without LeBron, without Schroeder, okay, maybe they can win a series like that. Well, it depends on, you know this, Oach, and also Rick, who you match up with. That's why it's important that the Lakers try to continue to climb the ladder to move up a little bit in order to have the right matchup. I honestly think, to me, that Denver, if they were back in the 5 seed, is a very good matchup for them in the first round to kind of get their mojo back because they don't have Murray. I know Jokic is going to be a handful, but they have size enough inside to compete against that.
Yeah, the other part of this, Acho, is the fact that we have a number of players with the Lakers who are bubble champions. We could have said the same thing about these Lakers for the most part going into last year's postseason or playoffs, in that was Kyle Kuzma a proven champion, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Anthony Davis, Alex Caruso. They all got that championship veneer last year by making that run. And now you're bringing those guys back, and I don't want to discount the experience and the value of winning a championship, no matter what the circumstances. But now you have a Dennis Schroeder and a Marc Gasol and a Wes Matthews and a Montrezl Harrell and an Andre Drummond, some of whom either do not appear to be anywhere close to what they were when they did have their best playoff appearances, or they have been massive underachievers in the postseason. Those are the guys that have to be incorporated into this. And if we learned one thing about the Lakers last year, it wasn't just LeBron and AD. It was Dwight Howard. It was Alex Caruso. They got contributions. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They got contributions from any number of ancillary players. And I dare say if they're going to win another championship, they're going to need that again. And that's why I'm only cautiously optimistic. They seem to be moving in the right direction, but they have so many unproven parts that I can't take their experience from last year and say, if they have the gang back together, then they'll do it again, because this is a different gang. And when it comes to AD diving on the floor, why do we have to make such a big deal about it?
It was a big deal.
Because it doesn't happen that often.
It was a big deal.
He does it one game, and suddenly it's like, oh, look at that. He's ready to go.
Slick.
I might need to see it twice before I'm going to buy into that.
Slick, let me do you a solid. I'm going to remove the caution from your optimism, because Caruso has combined for 35 points his last two games. Caruso and KCP yesterday combined for 34 points. Now, I know this much. KCP, NBA champion last year, big-time shots in the finals. Caruso, big-time hustle player, NBA champion. AD, NBA champion. LeBron, NBA champion. As I look at it, the Lakers roster, especially those that are really going to contribute in a major way, there's littered with NBA champions, people who won. Yes, it was a bubble. I understand it was a bubble, but people that have played meaningful minutes in meaningful games. We talked about the Suns. CP, phenomenal player, going down as one of the greatest point guards of all time. They call him the point god for a reason. Devin Booker, he was a bubble dude. He can get buckets. Jazz, Gobert, Spidey Mitchell. I get all that. But I think the Lakers' experience is going to be the trump card. Jim J, how much of a factor will the Lakers' experience actually play?
Oh, I think it goes deeper than that, because the intrigue in the NBA right now is at an all-time high. This is what the NBA wanted, because we don't know which team is most dominant. Even though the Lakers are, when healthy, are the team to beat. Every team that we're talking about has some flaws, okay? Every team you're talking about has questions. That's the beauty about this year's run to the playoffs and also a championship. We just don't know. We assume if Brooklyn plays together that big three plus the others is a formidable team. We don't know if Giannis can break through in the playoffs and finally have a versatile enough offense that it spreads out. Philly, Denver, Utah, Phoenix, the Lakers, the Clippers, all have questions. That's the beauty about what's going on this year, okay? And I think that the questions are going to be answered once we finally figure out in the playoff picture who's who and who's matching up. Because this year, more than anything, because of all of those questions, the matchup, the initial ones to me, are so critical and important to who ultimately is able to get to the conference finals and then to the finals, more so than any time before, because teams just haven't been as dominant in regards to answering those questions as we've seen in the past when we knew it was going to be Golden State, it was going to be Cleveland.
Which is why I am optimistic, but cautiously so when it comes to the Lakers, because they could match up with the Suns. And I do think that's a great matchup for them. Anthony Davis historically has dominated DeAndre Ayton. Yesterday was not an outlier. That has been the rule. And when it comes to their experience, they have it over the Suns. Don't call Devin Booker a bubble dude because he was good in the 8 regular season bubble games. I'm not giving him playoff dude. Jamal Murray was a bubble dude. Devin Booker was not a bubble dude. But all that said, ultimately, the biggest question I have when it comes to this postseason, and as Jim said, we won't know until we get there, the three-point shot has become such a dominant factor in the league, greater than ever before, and has had such a huge impact on who has risen surprisingly to the top of the league. If the three-point shooting comes back to form where it is not a dominant factor, if it's middling, then that is good for the Lakers because that's not a strength. They defend it well. They don't shoot it well. The Utah Jazz shoot it amazingly. The Clippers shoot it amazingly. Are we going to come back to a game where people aren't just letting it fly because of the pressure of the playoffs? Or have we gotten so comfortable shooting threes that this is going to continue on? That, to me, is going to be the number one factor. And it's almost not what the teams are capable of, but it's what the playoffs ultimately allow them to be.
I hear you, Slick, and I hear you, Jim J. Understand that it's all about the matchups, but I know this much because I stayed up and I saw it with my own 2 eyes. If the Lakers can beat the 2 seed handedly without the first, third, and fourth best player, Slick, all I got for you is optimism, no caution. But speaking of people who should be cautious, defensive backs who have to line up against DK Metcalf. Because I was there, and I saw his professional track debut, a 10:36 100-meter dash at 6'3". My gosh. But first, Aaron Rodgers still wants out of Green Bay. I'll tell you exactly who's to blame for the Packers drama. That's next. Speak for yourself.
Look, no one's perfect. Even the best baseball players strike out with bases loaded. Best golfers sometimes 3-putt with the tournament on the line. So you feel like you come up short in the bedroom sometimes, it's perfectly okay. But if it's bothering you, there are options. Go to GetRoman.com/speak right now. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward and discreet. Getting started? Simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/speak and complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without leaving home. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/speak right now to get $15 off your first month. Look, there's a straightforward way to take care of your ED. GetRoman.com/speak. Get started right now to save $15 on your first month of treatments. With Vroom, you can buy a car entirely online and have it delivered straight to you so you never have to go to a dealership again. Yes. Instead of going to a dealership, you can buy a car from home or park, or even as you listen to this podcast, literally anywhere else. With Vroom, you can browse thousands of cars in one place, so you don't have to spend your weekend driving out to a million different dealerships. You don't have to haggle or negotiate with pushy salesmen. Hey, man, leave me alone. When you sell your car on Vroom, you get an offer in minutes, so you don't have to waste time at a dealership anymore. Thank you. Vroom is entirely online, so next time you need to buy a car, just grab your phone, go to vroom.com, and check out thousands of great cars.
Let's head to Green Bay, where a report says Aaron Rodgers is, quote, dug in on his trade demand. But the Packers are still actively looking for solutions. Now, former Packers head coach Mike Holmgren even called out his former team, saying, quote, they didn't handle it very well. Now, I got to bring in Bucky Brooks, but I also got to bring in my brother. It's Bring Your Brother to School Day, I guess. Bring Your Brother to Work Day. Big bro Sam Acho for this segment. Now, fellas, you all both are the married man on this show. However, I got to talk to y'all about love languages, because I think that's really what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. Now, for those of y'all that are well-read, for those of y'all that at least read Twitter, we know there are 5 love languages: acts of service, quality time, gifts, physical touch, words of affirmation. But in the NFL, there's really only one love language, and the lack of that love is what's led to Aaron Rodgers' frustration. Money, baby. In the NFL, the only love language that matters is about money. Money equals love. Don't show me that you love me. I don't care if you start me. I don't care what you say. How much are you paying me? And if y'all have not yet realized, Aaron Rodgers runs out of guaranteed money at the end of this season. So you can pay Aaron Rodgers in acts of service. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, go out there and be our starter. You can pay Aaron Rodgers in quality time. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, let's have meetings before games, after games. You can pay Aaron Rodgers in a plethora of ways. Go host Jeopardy if you want to. We don't care. But the only way Aaron Rodgers wants to receive his love is through direct deposit. And the fact of the matter is, Packers are falling short there. And as a result, they got beef with Aaron Rodgers. So who do I blame for the drama in Green Bay? Absolutely the Green Bay Packers, because you got to understand, how does your star quarterback receive love? And I ain't talking about Jordan love. I'm talking about how does he receive actual love? And it's through direct deposit. Show him the guaranteed money, Packers, and he'll show you another MVP season in Green Bay. But Sam, you heard my take. You heard my 2 cents. What say you? Who is to blame for Aaron Rodgers' frustration in Green Bay?
Well, for me, it's all about Aaron Rodgers. He's the one to blame. And he has to understand, in the NFL, you get it, I get it, everyone is replaceable. Let's go back to the Indianapolis Colts. We saw Peyton Manning was dominant. All of a sudden, he was replaced by Andrew Luck. Let's go to New England. Drew Bledsoe played really, really well. All of a sudden, he ends and he's replaced by Tom Brady. And then I looked at Green Bay. And I said, okay, Green Bay had a really, really good quarterback, Brett Favre. He was really, really good, right? Green Bay loved him. And all of a sudden, he was replaced by the man we're talking about right now, Aaron Rodgers. And so, yes, you have to show people love, but you have to remember that everyone is replaceable. Even my time in the NFL, I remember I came in, I replaced Joey Porter, who's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. Easy. And I got replaced myself a couple years later by a guy, Khalil Mack, who hopefully will be in the Hall of Fame as well. Everyone in this league is replaceable. Aaron Rodgers, as much as you're the greatest quarterback, one of the top 5 maybe ever to play, you're also replaceable.
So then you blame Aaron Rodgers for the drama going on in Green Bay?
Absolutely, because he has to understand that you're not bigger than the team. You're not bigger than the team. The GM's job is to build a winning team, not just for this year, not just for next year, but for the next 5 and 10 years. And so Aaron Rodgers is complaining about he hasn't had other players drafted to help him on the offensive side of the ball. Yet all of a sudden, Green Bay's been in 10 playoffs the last couple years. They're going every single year. So Aaron Rodgers has to understand, okay, I'm good, but I also can be replaced. So tone back, sit back, chill out, and let your team do what they need to do.
I'm going to need you to expound on how exactly is Aaron Rodgers' fault in a second. But before that, Bucky Brooks, talk to me. Who do you blame for the drama between Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers?
Hey, Emmanuel, I'm so glad you brought your big brother to school to work today, because your big brother's dropping knowledge. I don't even have to really drop many nuggets because he took care of it. He is absolutely right. It's bigger than Aaron Rodgers. It's about the team. And if Aaron Rodgers didn't want this situation to really come back at him, he could have played better. He could have played better in the 3 years preceding the draft where they decided to get Jordan Love. It wouldn't have been an issue. But in the 3 preceding years, completion percentage went down each year from 64 to 62.7 to 62. Passer rating went down from 97 to 95.4. The record of the team was 23 and 15. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, yes, I can be mad. But look, the Packers had every right to begin to think, hey, our quarterback is in the mid-30s. The play isn't trending upward, it's trending downwards. It's time for us to get another quarterback in Jordan Love. Let's just get one ready in the on-deck circle just in case he doesn't pull out of this slump. He pulled out of it, but he can't be mad and have revisionist history because all of a sudden they brought Jordan Love in. Hey, you said it. It's about the money, but they didn't cut his pay when he wasn't playing up to snuff, so he can't expect to get a treat because he just played at MVP level. It doesn't work like that. He needs to understand and get out of his feelings and go back to work.
Fellas, can we establish something? Bucky Brooks, Sam Acho, can we please establish something? Every now and then in life, I understand that, you can't be bigger than the team. You can't be bigger than the entity for which you work. Unless you are the team. Aaron Rodgers is the Green Bay Packers. That's where you all need to understand, like I've had to understand. Bucky, There ain't no Packers without Aaron Rodgers. You see what happens when Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. You see how that record goes. Bucky Brooks, the man just had, 54 combined touchdowns last season, 48 passing touchdowns through the air, and you want to talk about the team? You want to talk about Devontae Adams being a top 5 receiver? Wonder who his quarterback is. You want to talk about Aaron Jones being a top 5 running back? I wonder how stacked those boxes are if you have Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers is the team. So, yes, you all are, in fact, correct that the GM has to look 5, 10 years into the future. But if my math is correct, carry the 2. Tom Brady was 43, minus 37. Aaron Rodgers is 37. That's 6 years left of quality quarterback play if we assume that Aaron Rodgers, which we all know is as physically talented as Tom Brady, if we can assume that Aaron Rodgers, who is just as physically talented as Brady, can continue to play as Brady has continued to play, Sam, right then and there is 5 more years of great quarterback play. Now, Bucky Brooks, I got to say one more little note. Aaron Rodgers, let's not make a mistake. During his down year, y'all remember the year that was so atrocious that the Packers had to go draft a first-round pick in Jordan Love? Aaron Rodgers' terrible year. He threw for 26 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Oh, that's so bad. Remember that year Dak Prescott got an MVP vote, his rookie year? He threw for 23 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So Aaron Rodgers' terrible year, which nearly got him replaced, Bucky Brooks, was actually Dak Prescott's best year. But what do I know? I'm just reading these stats, Bucky Brooks. Don't hate me. I just deliver the news. I do not create it. So, Sam, I'm really going to need a much more thorough explanation as how this is Aaron Rodgers' fault when all the stats say that the Packers go as Aaron Rodgers goes. And if Aaron Rodgers is gone, the Packers, I don't know where they're going to be.
Well, yeah, I hear what you're saying. There's truth to the fact that Aaron Rodgers is the team. But going back to my first point, you're not bigger than the team. Aaron Rodgers, he's complaining. He's upset. He's not happy at what he doesn't have. But what he does have is some outside linebackers on the edge that are rushing the quarterback. What he does have is Devontae Adams, a top 5 wide receiver. What he does have, and you alluded to this as well, Aaron Jones, a top running back. Oh, and by the way, running backs run behind offensive lines. David Bakhtiari, probably the best offensive tackle in the game. So Aaron Rodgers has a lot. But let's not forget what he also had. He had Jordy Nelson, a really good wide receiver. He also had Randall Cobb, a really good wide receiver. So you cannot forget about what you had. Yes, Aaron, you are the team. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. That's why no one wants to see you go. But we're asking the question of who is causing the rift. It's got to be A-Rod. Do you want more money? Is that what it is, to your point, Emmanuel? If it is, then say pay me. Pay me, period. And maybe they'll say yes, maybe they'll say no. They probably have to because you are the team. But if you're sitting here saying, I want to be traded, I want to go somewhere else, I'm not happy because you're not the GM, or you're not happy because you don't make all the decisions or don't have all the control, I'm not buying it. A-Rod, you are the team, but also you're not bigger than the team.
You know, it's funny that you bring up the team, right? Because everyone always makes this parallel as Tom Brady went to Tampa and they gave him everything and that's why they won. And so now we have all these quarterbacks saying, I need more control. But let's think about this Tampa Bay team that Tom Brady went to. Tom Brady went to a team that already had Mike Evans, already had Chris Godwin. Most of the offensive line was already intact. Defensively, Jason Pierre-Paul was already there. Ndamukong Suh was there. Devin White was there. Levante David was there. Everybody was there. So Tom Brady shows up. And you know what Tom Brady brings? Tom Brady shows up at a dinner party with the sweet potatoes. He brought Rob Gronkowski. He brought Antonio Brown. So he brought some brown and syrup rolls. He brought Leonard Fournette. So, yes, he brought some Kool-Aid. That's all he brought to the party. The meal was already there. Lucky. And so Aaron Rodgers is sitting here saying, oh, I want what Tom Brady has. But when I look at what Tom Brady has what the Packers already have in place, because I'm looking at a team that has gone to back-to-back championship games, whether Aaron Rodgers plays at an MVP level or not. And so when we take these shots at Brian Gutekunst in this front office, I'm saying regardless of how Aaron Rodgers plays, the team gets to the same spot. And if we're going to credit Aaron Rodgers for being the team is 1-4 in NFC championship games when number 12 tries out. So if you want all the cash, you want all the cake, at some point, you need to get us beyond this point, because I've seen the team get us to this threshold. Can the quarterback take us beyond?
I have a couple harsh realities for you, Bucky Brooks. The first one is a stat. The second one is a story. The Packers defense is allowing 37.6 points a game in those 3 NFC Championship games losses, the last 3. 37 points per game. League average offensive scoring last year was 26 points a game. So just to put in context, Packers are giving up a touchdown, 2-point conversion, and a field goal more than the NFL average during the course of the regular season. But, Bucky, let's talk stories. Because I love what you said, Bucky Brooks. Sam, you're going to get to know Bucky Brooks a little bit more on this show. Bucky, I love what you said about Tom Brady. He showed up, and sure, he brought the sweet potatoes and Gronk, and maybe he brought the Kool-Aid and Leonard Fournette. I love that. But, Bucky, have you ever gone to a Thanksgiving, with your homies, with your people? You go to a Thanksgiving in the inner city. Every now and then, people show up with some hot sauce in their bag. They show up with some Tony Shasheries in their bag. Seasoning for y'all at home that don't know. They show up with some Tonys because it's not just what's already there at the dinner table, but what seasoning can you add to it, Bucky Brooks? Gronk showed up. That's the sweet potatoes. Godwin was there. Evans was there. But you see, Tom Brady added some seasoning to it. Yes, Jordy Nelson was a baller, but he only played 1 year before retiring without Aaron Rodgers. Randall Cobb, baller. But his last 2 seasons, he's only combined for 1,200 yards. That's the lowest 2-game stretch Randall Cobb done played in. So, yes, those meals, they're present, but y'all got to remember who the seasoning is. And Aaron Rodgers, he make everybody look better and everything taste better, especially them W's. Well, Terry Bradshaw and Fox Super 6 are giving away $5,000 for the 2021 NFL schedule release on Wednesday. Now, one of the questions is, what will be the first Fox 4:25 p.m. Eastern game of the week? Will it be Cowboys-Giants, Packers-Saints, Bears-Steelers, Packers-Ravens, or Cowboys-Patriots? Sam, you up first. Who you picking?
Oh, it's got to be Cowboys-Patriots. These are the 2 most valuable teams in the NFL. We talk about America's team. You got the Cowboys, and America's other team in New England, Cowboys-Patriots all day.
Bucky Brooks.
Oh, I like that. Sam, you're on the right path because I'm going with the MVP, Dak Prescott, being on the big stage against the New York Giants. That's the way they want to do it. Dak Prescott, he's debut, MVP season. We got to see that on TV.
I'm so distracted at Dak Prescott and MVP following each other in a sentence, but I got to answer the question. Cowboys, Giants, because Dak Prescott is still a dude, although MVP? Huh? Bucky Brooks? Anyway, download the Fox Super 6 app and play for free for your shot to win. And make sure you tune in to the schedule release show on FS1 and NFL Network Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern for in-depth analysis, breaking down top matchups, primetime games, and more. Coming up, the Bears, my brother's former team. They traded up to draft Justin Fields, but expectations are high. Are they higher for him than other first-round quarterbacks? I'm going to answer that and what to expect from all the first-round QBs next. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Now, quarterbacks were jumping off the board in this year's NFL draft, with 5 going in the first 15 picks. Now, each of the rookie QBs have expectations, but some are clearly higher than others. But we got to break it all down, and we're going to break all of them down, starting with the number 1 overall pick. That's Jaguars' Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I'm going to shoot y'all straight. Lower your expectations for Trevor Lawrence this season. He is going to struggle. It's not just on Trevor Lawrence, but remember, it is hard to be greater than your environment. We know how bad the Jaguars have been the last decade, outside of one flash-in-the-pan year in 2017 where they stumbled miraculously into an AFC championship game. But y'all know what they say, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to have great success this season because they don't have a lot of help. He doesn't have no 1,000-yard receivers. Marvin Jones is probably his best receiver at 30, 31 years of age. I get it. DJ Chark is coming along. Laviska Shenault is a baller. But now is not the time for Trevor Lawrence. Give him a year or 2, and then he going to take off. But, Sam, what are your expectations for Trevor Lawrence?
Well, Emmanuel, the bar is low, so my expectations for him are high. You love track. You're a track guy. You feel like you're sprinter. You do your track thing. You've been to track meets, and you see you got the high jumpers doing their thing. But when the bar is that low, it's easy to go over. It's like a warm-up. And so this season for Trevor Lawrence, in a lot of ways, is going to be like a warm-up. Yes, he was dominant in college. And yes, I understand that Jacksonville does not have a lot of weapons, but the bar is extremely low. Another way to think of it, think about it as low-hanging fruit. So the apples, the oranges, they just right here. He didn't have to reach up so high. And so he's gonna have great success. I would say give him a winning season. They're not gonna go to the playoffs or anything, but man, it's a super low bar.
Winning season. Bold speak. All right, let's move on to the second quarterback that came off the board, Zach Wilson. Now, if you thought it was going to be bad for Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, I must be honest, it will be rough for you. Y'all got to think about this. Not only do the Jets not have a 1,000-yard receiver, they don't have a 1,000-yard running back. What's the quarterback's best friend besides an offensive line? A running game. But the difference is this. Hey, Zach Wilson, you playing in the Big Apple, big dog. Trevor Lawrence can win 5 games, and nobody's going to know. But if you win 5 games, we all going to talk about it. Probably going to lead the show with it, honestly. I think Zach Wilson struggles because his expectations are just as high as Trevor Lawrence's. Not because he was a number 1 pick, but because he came out of BYU. So in theory, he was probably overdrafted. But are you going to be overdrafted and underdeliver? That is bad news. Bucky Brooks, what's your expectations for Zach Wilson this season?
Oh, I think Zach Wilson is going to hit the ground running. In fact, I believe he's set up for success because this system is one that elevates quarterbacks. I saw this same system elevate Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, your favorite, Baker Mayfield. It is going to allow Zach Wilson to play at a high level. Mike LaFleur has surrounded this young quarterback with weapons. The offensive line that you talk about, they drafted Elijah Barrett-Tucker to go with Mekhi Becton, so now they're beefy. They got a running back in Michael Carter that will help them out. The 2 receivers, Corey Davis brought over from Tennessee, Elijah Moore gives them 2 guys that can get open. Yeah, it's Broadway, it's a big stage, but I think he embraces the lights on Broadway. Zach Wilson plays well right out the gate.
He's a runner, he's a track star. I don't see it, but I like it. Next up, Trey Lance. Now, he went number 3 to the Niners. Fellas, I got to be honest, this is where it gets tricky for me. Trey Lance will ball when Trey Lance plays. The question is, when will Trey Lance play? The reason he gonna ball is because he has a quarterback's second best friend, I guess, besides a running game. He got George Kittle, an outlet at tight end. He also has an explosive runner at the running back position, Raheem Mostert. But beyond all that, he got Kyle Shanahan. And if you are a competent quarterback under Kyle Shanahan, the operative word being competent, if you are a competent quarterback under Kyle Shanahan, you always ball, whether Matt Schaub, Robert Griffin, Matt Ryan, Jimmy G, and soon-to-be Trey Lance. So Trey Lance will ball. I just don't know when he's going to get on the field. Sam, what are your expectations for Lance?
Oh, he's absolutely going to ball, but he's absolutely going to sit this season. I remember last year, or actually 2-3 years ago, when Pat Mahomes had just got drafted and he was finishing up his first year, just played 1 game, and I was at the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl sitting with him, and I didn't know too much about him. He just had a 1-game sample size. But this dude was dialed in. He had sat a whole season, ready to thrive. I know we're a season before that, where you're going to see Trey Lance on the bench, watching, dialed in, ready to go when his number is called. We saw what Kyle Shanahan did with RG3 back in 2012. Dominant season. You're going to see the same thing. It just might take 1 extra year.
I can co-sign that. But I got to get to the player I'm most excited about. Let's be real. Justin Fields. He landed in the best spot. Better spot than Trey Lance. Better spot than Mac Jones, who we'll talk about shortly. Justin Fields, you know the Bears love him because they traded up from the 20 slot to the 11 slot to get him. But we talked track and field. Sam, you brought it up. A high jumper jumping over a low bar. But now imagine one of the greatest high jumpers jumping over the lowest bars. Because I like Mitch Trubisky. Sam, I know you like Mitch Trubisky. But Bears fans hated Mitch Trubisky. So Justin Fields, you don't have to do anything but come in and be greater than the person everybody disdained. Imagine how easy that is to do. Plus, you and I have the same suit guy. Shout out to my guy Soto & Co. He keep you laced. So when I look at it, Justin Fields is going to go out there and he is going to ball because they have a receiver in Allen Robinson. They have a 1,000-yard running back in David Montgomery. They have another gadget running back in Tariq Cohen. And I actually like Matt Nagy, the quarterback, the head coach. He's been looking for his quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, who he was coordinating over in KC. He's found his Patrick Mahomes want to be in Justin Fields. Bucky, what are your expectations for Fields this season?
Oh, I'm with you. I think the expectations should be high for Justin Fields. I expect him to play and play early. Moreover, I expect him to play at a high level. Remember, when Matt Nagy took over the Bears went right to the playoffs, and Mitchell Trubisky played at a Pro Bowl level. Justin Fields is bigger, faster, stronger, and a more talented passer. All Matt Nagy has to do is not mess this up. Justin Fields will lead the Bears back to the playoffs. And remember, this was a playoff team a season ago. When they get all the pieces back on defense or whatever, they're going to be ready to rock. I think they finished second in the NFC North. Justin Fields plays a major role in that success.
Oh, well, let's finally get to the last one. That's who? Mac Jones, 2-8-1-3. I'm not going there. Y'all not from Houston. Y'all won't get it. Mac Jones went number 15 to the Patriots. And again, Mac Jones is very similar to Trey Lance for me. I think whenever he steps on the field, he will likely ball. But the question is, again, when will he step on the field? The other question is this, because my typical co-host, Marcellus Wiley, he always says, if you're a Patriots quarterback, you either have to sit on the bench or you will suck. Those are the two options. No rookie quarterbacks for the Patriots, or at least no quarterback for the Patriots who gets there and has to play right away succeeds. Even Tom Brady. Yes, they were 11-3 under Tom Brady, but he had 18 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So I do think when Mac Jones plays, the Patriots will play well because their defense, because of their head coach. So Mac Jones will look good. But even if and when he plays, I'm not sure how well he will play, because if you're playing your first year, to quote the great philosopher Marcellus Wiley, as a Patriot, you either sit or you suck. And for once, I'll say Marcellus is right on that take. But Sam, what are your expectations for Mac Jones this season?
Oh, Mac Jones is going to sit. You talked about if and when. It's a big if and also a bigger when of when he's going to get on the field. Back in 2016 with the Bears, we scrimmaged the Patriots. They had this thing called a developmental squad. So, yeah, Tom Brady, who was a starter, Jimmy G going with the twos. But then at practice, they had Jacoby Brissett, who was a rookie, with, in a lot of ways, the threes, the practice squad, the developmental squad. We're all talking about how Mac Jones is going to come in and shine and compete for a starting spot. I believe Mac Jones is going to be in the developmental squad. Why? Because it takes time to get better. No one sees the behind the scenes. But what happens is he gets in the field, he gets in the playbook, he learns the defense, learns the offense, learns how to read defenses, and learns how to play ball. But it's going to take time.
I think that's what happened with my NFL career. I never really got off the developmental squad. Oh, well, still ended up here. Bucky Brooks, I need your take because I know you're hot on Cam Newton and you're hot on Mac Jones and you're hot on this competition. What's Mac Jones going to do, if anything, this season?
Yeah, I think he's going to sit behind Cam Newton. I expect Cam Newton to play much better. I think we tend to forget Cam Newton last year was playing really well prior to the COVID infection. When he got COVID, it changed his game. He was never the same after that. I think he now hits the ground running, plays at a high level. For Mac Jones, I expect him to sit, develop, but when he does get his opportunity, the Patriots will continue to surround him with talent because it's important that he has playmakers on the outside. I like the tight ends. They still need an upgraded wide receiver. But in 2022, Mac Jones may look good as a Patriots quarterback.
Bucky going all in on Dak Prescott and Cam Newton. I guess it is Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up, the Browns, well, they're all in on Baker Mayfield. But I'm going to tell you how far they can go with him as their quarterback. That's next. Speak for yourself. Hit Mac Jones up now. Rumors were floating around that Aaron Rodgers could land in Cleveland, but that's not happening, y'all. So everybody calm down. Reports say that the Browns are, quote, all in on Baker Mayfield and will not try to trade for Rodgers regardless of the compensation. The report also added Cleveland is working on giving Baker Mayfield a contract extension. Well, I see your Browns, even smarter than I thought. I got to bring in Sam Macho, Big Bro, and a native of Ohio. How about that? Slick Rick the Bucher to talk through this one. But first, fellas, let me talk through something. People think that Baker is a limiting reactant for the Browns. I don't believe that to be the case. We don't have to leave the division. We don't have to leave the last decade to see that there was a man by the name of Joe Flacco who helped the Ravens win a Super Bowl. I say helped because he didn't get carried to that Super Bowl. Joe Flacco had 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions that year. 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 59% completion percentage. The year the Ravens won the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield had 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions last year, including the playoffs. He had more than 30 touchdowns and fewer than 10 interceptions. One of only 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League to do so. Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Tannehill, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield. That is the list of the great quarterbacks last season that Baker Mayfield found himself in the company of. And you know what they say. You are the average of your 5 closest friends. So Baker Mayfield, if you hanging out with that kind of category, that's the talent he has. Baker Mayfield can carry the Browns to a Super Bowl. And if the Browns keep building up rosters in this offseason like they did at future offseasons like they did in this offseason, I won't be surprised if he does. Shout out to Andrew Berry, the GM. Shout out to Kevin Stefanski. We've seen it happen before. We've seen it happen in that division. Make no mistake about how great Baker Mayfield has been for the Cleveland Browns, and make no mistake about how far Baker Mayfield can carry the Cleveland Browns. Because if he has a roster to do so, Baker can absolutely carry the Browns to a Super Bowl. But Sam, you tell me, you played 9 years in the league. How far can the Browns go with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback?
Oh, they can go to the Super Bowl and maybe even win it. I'm concerned about Tampa Bay if they go there and play Tampa Bay. But they can go to the Super Bowl. But here's why. I look at, obviously, Kevin Stefanski. He's great. Andrew Berry is a genius. They had a number 21st ranked defense last year. We all talk about how great the Cleveland defense is, but they got Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in the second round. They got Greg Newsome in the first round to bolster up their defense. They got Troy Hill. They got some dudes from LA. So they're bolstering their defense already. But let's not even talk about the defense. Talk about their running game. So you don't even have to be so great when you got Kareem Hunt at running back. When you don't have to be so great when you have an offense that's built around your strengths. And so if I'm thinking about how great that Baker Mayfield can be, I'm not overly concerned with his arm talent per se. I'm overly concerned with him taking the team to where we need to go, which is a Super Bowl.
You know you're doing a show with two Nigerians when you go out of your way to pronounce a Nigerian's whole name. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Just doing entirely too much. But I respect it. Shout out to you, Jeremiah. All right, Slick Rick the Bucher. You tell me. I know you're a native of Ohio. You're well, I can't say you're a diehard Bengals fan, but maybe you'll just die hard the way the Bengals are playing. Anyway, we're not going to go there. But Slick Rick, how far can the Browns go with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback?
I don't know if you can tell, but I didn't shave today because I knew I was going to be doing battle with two Achos, not just one, and I knew that it could get rough and dirty. So I'm here for it. The answer is, and so I'm glad you guys went immediately to, is it Super Bowl or not a Super Bowl? And the answer is no, Baker Mayfield cannot take them to a Super Bowl this year, which means that he cannot take them to a Super Bowl ever. Here's the reality. It is really not about Baker Mayfield because I think, as Sam alluded to, it's really about what the Browns are building around Baker Mayfield right now. There's one definitive element when it comes to every Super Bowl winning team since 2013. They have one thing in common. It's that they had a top 10 scoring defense. You can go to Joe Flacco, you can go to Tom Brady, you can go to Peyton Manning, you can take any quarterback you want. They've all varied, and they varied in terms of their contribution to their team getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. But the one constant has been the scoring defense. Now, the Browns have done a nice job in the offseason, adding Jadeveon Clowney, signing John Johnson, drafting Greg Newsome. They've improved. Have they improved from 21st in scoring defense into the top 10? I need to see that before I believe it. So this is really about everything that is around Baker Mayfield that is going to get them there. But if you're asking me if Baker Mayfield, you use the word carry, Acho. Acho.
I was about to say now, which Acho?
Baker Mayfield is going to carry the Cleveland Browns to the Super Bowl. You can't really believe that.
Slick Rick, I'm gonna hop in for Iacho for a second because you are a gentleman and you are a scholar.
Yes.
But you're preaching to the choir. So Andrew Berry, you don't think he knows that he needs a top 10 defense? You don't think that's why he went and got Jadeveon Clowney? You don't think that's why he went and got Troy Hill? You don't think that's why he went and got Greg Newsome? You don't think that's why he went and got Jeremiah? So he knows what you know. And what we all know is that you need a top defense to win. And so he said, okay, I've got my quarterback. I've got some good offensive weapons in the running game. Now let me go get a defense and help my offense go to the Super Bowl. Let's not forget. Last year in the playoffs, Cleveland lost by 5 to Kansas City. 5 points. And yes, Pat Mahomes was injured. We understand that. It was some gutsy play calling on the offensive side. Let's not forget, Andy Reid had a great offensive play call. But it was a 5-point loss. And so, yes, you're preaching, and you're making some really great points, but you're preaching to Andrew Berry, who's the choir, who knows everything that you know, and he's gone exceedingly and abundantly out of his way to build a top defense for his dominant offense.
Here's the bigger thing, though, fellas, as I look at it, is this. You don't have to necessarily carry a team for the duration of a season. But you carry them for a little while, Slick Rick? I don't have no kids, but I do have some nephews and nieces, courtesy of my brother. And here's the kicker. I don't carry them all day because they get heavy. But what I can do is this. I can carry them for a little while until I give them back, Slick, until I give them back to the rightful owner of whose responsibility it is to carry the team. I got a guy who's mentioned that you're either a tractor or a trailer. it quarterback positions. You're either being carried by the team or you're carrying a team. But I thought about it long and hard this morning and realized you don't just have to be a tractor or a trailer. You can also ride shotgun. Because, Slick Rick, I know you've gone on road trips before, big dog, across the country. When you ride shotgun, you're not necessarily driving, but every now and then the driver says, hey, I'm tired. Can you spell me for a little bit? Joe Flacco, he wasn't driving until the playoffs when the Ravens said, hey, can you lead us for a little bit? 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. Nick Foles, 2017, he definitely wasn't driving the Eagles, but the Eagles said, hey, can you lead us for a little bit? 6 touchdowns, 1 interception on the playoff run en route to a Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield doesn't have to carry him for the duration of the season. He just has to be competent and capable of carrying them long enough to get to a Super Bowl, which I think he can do. But I got to bring in my guy, Bucky Brooks, because you know he going to go to blows when it comes to Baker Mayfield and your boy. So, Bucky, talk to me. You know I just debunked your tractor trailer theory. How far can the Browns go with Baker Mayfield?
Look, I don't know if you were an English major at Texas, but your wordplay is outstanding. Maybe you should be a rapper in your spare time because you certainly worked around that to make it seem like Baker Mayfield could carry it. But let's be honest in this. I think your brother's right on it. The Browns can go to the Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. It doesn't mean that they will go to the Super Bowl because Baker Mayfield is at quarterback. And here's why. We saw just a few years ago, the LA Rams went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff at quarterback. The situation is eerily similar. Same system, supporting cast is an upgrade. Remember, Todd Gurley played as, I think he was Offensive Player of the Year that year behind Jared Goff. They had a defense that could get stops in critical situations. They were 6-1 in one-score games, and Jared Goff could make enough plays to get them to that point. However, Sam will tell you this, other people will tell you this. In the playoffs, in these games, your quarterback has to be able to make 4 to 5 throws that are big time. What we don't know is when the game is on him, much like it was Jimmy Garoppolo a couple years ago, can Baker Mayfield cash the lottery ticket? That's what it comes down to. The team around him, there's no reason why the Browns shouldn't be in the Super Bowl. If they're not in the Super Bowl, it's on number 6. Because at the end of the day, the quarterback has to get you over the line. We talked about Aaron Rodgers and all that. The difference between good and great, the quarterback can take you over the top. And so we will see how good Baker Mayfield is.
Bucky, we're going to see because he's going to do it. People always say in football, they remember what you do in December. I love the shotgun example from Emmanuel. He's got Nick Chubb to carry him there. He's got Kareem Hunt to carry him there. He's got a defense that's going to carry him there. But let's not forget, Baker Mayfield is no slouch. Baker Mayfield has been playing well since high school, in college, and even professionally. And so when the lights come on, when those big, bright lights come on, when the fans are watching, when people are in the stands, Baker Mayfield is going to shine. I love this show. I love watching my brother do his thing on this show. It's great. And I remember last year watching him highlight Baker Mayfield and how he doesn't turn the ball over, hasn't thrown too many interceptions when the time was right. Baker Mayfield has what it takes. He has that grit, that it factor that people love. And so when it's time, December, January, and obviously February, Baker Mayfield is going to turn it on. He doesn't need to do it in September or October. He'll have a cast to take care of.
Hey, here's how you know the Baker Mayfield belief is real and authentic. Because for those who don't know, my brother and I both went to Texas. And Baker went to our arch nemesis, arch rival of Oklahoma. And Bucky, we can see through and beyond any sort of college rivalry blinders and truly give praise where it's due. I don't know what beef you got with Baker, Bucky Brooks, but you need to get that handled.
I don't have any beef with him. And was it a rivalry at Oklahoma and Texas if Oklahoma always wins? Is that a rivalry?
Hold on now, Bucky.
It's time to go to break. It's time to go to break. Is that right? Okay, I can go to break. Thank you. Coming up, Tom Brady has already reached out to the Bucs. And Bucs rookie Kyle Trask, that is. But I'll tell you if veterans have a responsibility to support rookies. That's next. Speak for yourself. Welcome back. Quarterback Tom Brady, we know he's locked in as a starter for the Super Bowl champion Bucs, but he still reached out to quarterback Kyle Trask, who was drafted in the second round of this previous draft. Now, Brady said that he wanted to get together and throw the ball with Trask as soon as Trask gets to Tampa. I got to bring in Malcolm Jenkins, 13-year NFL vet, added up. Plus, my brother Sam Macho, you got 26 years of NFL experience about to have this conversation. and I only provided 4. Nonetheless, when I look at it, fellas, I'm trying to figure out what responsibility do veterans have to play, or what responsibility do veterans have to show their rookies? Think about this. Ben Roethlisberger, we all know when a quarterback gets drafted behind him, no love. Aaron Rodgers, when a quarterback, Jordan Love, gets drafted behind him, he went and drank. But Tom Brady, quarterback gets drafted behind him, and he's like, hey, let's throw this weekend. Let's throw as soon as you get in town. I want to help you get better. CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, if a president gets hired, they're not trying to help him take their job. College university presidents, if a vice president gets hired that's younger, maybe better educated, maybe has a higher resume, higher acumen, pedigree, the president of that university isn't trying to help the vice president take his job. But why in the world is there an expectation that if you are a veteran and a rookie comes in after you in the NFL, you have to help that rookie develop? You have to help that rookie replace you. In the NFL, the window is small, regardless of careers like Malcolm Jenkins, 13 years, my brother, 9 years. The average NFL career is only 3 years. So why would I ever help you take my job? It makes no sense to me, but I wanted to bring in this astute panel of NFL veterans to have this conversation. So, Jenkins, what responsibility do vets have to support rookies?
Yeah, I don't think veterans have any responsibility, to help rookies. Every year, you have a cohort of rookies that are coming in to take people's jobs. As soon as you come in, the teams are trying to replace you. But I think what you see is it depends on who that player is. Tom Brady, they can draft a quarterback behind him. It's Tom Brady's job, and everybody knows that, right? He's not giving that up until he retires, until he hands that over. So there's no pressure, right, as to his job security. And when veterans have that, they don't have that pressure, they tend to be team focused and be worrying about how do I make the team the best possible to give us the best chance. I've done the same thing before. Whenever I felt like my job is not in danger, I'll help every single player on the roster because I'm secure in my role, right? And I want to make us a team. But you've seen it in other situations where if you're bringing in somebody to replace you in the near future, you're in competition mode at that point. You're not giving out all your secrets. You're trying to secure your job, and then we can be teammates and learn as we go.
Gene, take me back to 2009, I believe was your rookie year, first round pick. Whose job were you taking? Because if you're a first round pick, you taking somebody's job. Whose job were you taking, and did the vets help you take their job in theory?
Yeah, I didn't take anybody's job. That was the thing with me. I was a first round pick, drafted 14th overall. And in front of me, you had Jabari Greer, Tracy Porter, and Randall Gay, who was the slot corner, long-term veteran in the league. And so I came in the first 4 or 5 weeks, had to play special teams. And it wasn't until a couple of injuries that I got my opportunity. The next year, my second season, I changed positions from corner to safety to deal with some of the things that we were doing. I think Darren Sharper was on PUP that year. And that was my opportunity to get into the roster at that point by changing my position. And when I did that, there was a little less tips that I was getting from some of the older guys. When I was corner, it's all good, right? They'll give you everything. But when you're competing for your job, you got to compete. And once you get into the season, it's all about winning. But right now in the offseason, if you bring in somebody to replace my job in the next two or 3 years, I'm in compete mode. I'm keeping all of my secrets tight to the vest.
Now, Sam, let's talk about it, because I remember watching you were behind Joey Porter your rookie year, and I think he actually gave you some tidbits. You end up being second all-time rookie sack record in the Cardinals' history. So what's really good as it pertains to the responsibility of veterans supporting rookies?
Yeah, well, Joey Porter, we called him Peasy. He wasn't giving me not one tidbit because I was coming for his spot. I was playing right outside linebacker at that time. We had another guy named Clark Hagans playing left outside linebacker. So I was helping. Clark was helping me out. Peasy was staying far, far away. I'll never forget the story. And I was born in '88. I'm rookie. I see this dude, Joey Porter, and I'm trying to be friends with him. It's my guy. Like, I'm the rookie. You're the 10-year vet, probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. And he was in the hot tub. I'm thinking, okay, it's a hot tub, it's a cold tub. What do I do? And I kind of just tiptoed in, just said, hey, Peasy, trying to get some tips. And I realized he wasn't, trying to talk, very standoffish. And I said, hey, what? He had a tattoo that said 75 on it. I'm thinking, okay, is that like your number of sacks, whatever? I said, tell me about this tattoo. He said, well, that's the year I was born. I said, oh, okay, we are at different levels. You're trying to do something. You have a wife, a kid, you have everything that you're trying to handle. And so Peasy was giving me no tips. So I realized I had to get it on my own. And like we saw with Malcolm, I was teams for 4 or 5 years, special teams for 4 or 5 weeks, And so I sat out and learned it myself. But when I became older, I said, I want to pour back into the other players. So I remember when I was in 2016 or 15 or so, we drafted Leonard Floyd in Chicago, outside linebacker. I tried to give him tips because I wanted him to be better. I wanted our team to be better. I knew I'd have a role on that team, but I wanted to help Leonard. But one last piece, because everyone's different. So the thing is, you got to be available, but not overly available. 2013, new coach, new training staff in Arizona. We bring in a guy, Lorenzo Alexander, a great friend of mine. We're still friends to this day. Zoe was not giving me one piece of advice at all. He had made the Pro Bowl, nothing. I'm like, Zoe, what's up? And after a year or two, we got closer. He said, hey, Sam, I'm not going to give you an opportunity to take my job. I came in for the job. I'm not going to help you take my job. And so I've been on both sides of the fence. I tend to lean on the side of, hey, let me help everybody out. But I get it. I'm not going to give you a chance to take my job.
See, I think it's twofold. And Jink, you said something that stuck with me. If you know your job is safe, then you can give up tips. If you know you're getting replaced, then you can give up tips. But if there's any gray area in between, you can't do it. Me and Jenkins played together 2 or 3 years in Philly. DeMeco Ryans was set as the starter, current defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. DeMeco was a dude. DeMeco helped everybody and they mama out. If you wanted to know what we was doing with the defense, he would tell you. If you wanted to know about the hook drop, the curl drop, how he was making the call, he would tell you. Because DeMeco was not going anywhere. But there are definitely situations when you got like the second and the third guy scrapping where it's really, hey, I can't really tell you nothing. I ain't got nothing to tell you. Now, Sam, you knew you were getting replaced by Khalil Mack because Khalil Mack is, well, Khalil Mack. You just straight up helped him out, correct?
Absolutely. Well, so that was the thing. My job had been taken before. So I know that this job is cyclical. You come in and you leave. You come in and you leave. Like we talked earlier, everyone can be replaced. And so when Khalil came in, my job essentially was to help Khalil learn the defense. Mind you, let's not forget, we traded for him after the preseason had already ended. So we were getting ready to play the Green Bay Packers. I was with the Chicago Bears. We were playing them in about 8 days. Khalil had no idea what the defense was. And so not only was I sitting next to him helping him with the defense, but also he was getting all the reps. There was no more second team reps, third team reps. Khalil was getting all the reps because he needed those reps for the season. And so I had no issue with that because, once again, my mindset was on how can we make the team better? And that year, our team went to the playoffs. And so, yes, if you're in that middle ground like I was back in Arizona, you're not giving any tips. But as you know where your position is, you know where you stand, you're going to probably be more available.
Now, Jenkins, you haven't missed a start since 2014, but you did commit the NFL cardinal sin of being over 30 years old. So now anybody over 30 is not safe. They just aren't. It don't matter how good you are. Unless you're a quarterback, you're not safe. I guess, how do you approach it now? You haven't missed a start in 7 years. You've won 2 Super Bowls. You've accomplished everything. You still balling. But how do you approach it now? Because they're always looking to replace you.
Yeah, I think one of the best lessons I learned early in my career, and you've heard the cliche, the more that you can do, the longer you play in this league, right? And so when I was drafted as a corner and learned very quickly that if I wanted to play corner alone in this league, I probably wouldn't have a long career, right? And so I learned how to play almost every position on the defense. And so even if they bring in, new guys or younger guys to play safety, these players can't do all the things that I'm doing, which gives me a lot more security. And it also helps me teach, guys how to play, knowing that I'm secure because you have to literally have 3 or 4 guys to replace all of the positions that I play on the field. And that's, to me, some of the best advice for some of these young guys. When I end up giving it to them, is like, don't come in here thinking, you're going to be the next Patrick Peterson, Richard Sherman, to be a lockdown guy. The way that you last in this league and have longevity is through special teams. And then the more that you can do, your versatility and availability, it keeps you on the field at all times and makes it very, very hard for you to get replaced. And so those are usually the kind of tips that I give to guys, and usually the ones who are willing to put in that work to learn, more about the game in and of itself, usually end up lasting longer.
Well, speaking of somebody who can do it all and not just on a football field, how about DK Metcalf? Because he made his professional track debut yesterday. I was there in the stands, and my goodness, it was impressive. I'm going to tell you just how impressed I was at his attempt to play another sport. That's next. Speak for you. NFL star wide receiver made his professional track and field debut on Sunday in a 100-meter dash. Now, Metcalf finished 15th out of 17 runners, but that doesn't tell the whole story. He ran 10.37 seconds at 6'4" and about 240 pounds. Y'all, I was in the stadium. I can confirm he is as big as listed. Jink, you might have played against him this year. I don't recall. But y'all know just the size DK Metcalf is at that speed. But Malcolm Jenkins, how impressive was DK's 100-meter dash?
I mean, it was very impressive, you know, and I'll let you go into the body mechanics of being as big and tall as he is, to be able to move that fast. And I'll just go off of personal experience. Somebody who's a 400 and 200 runner in high school and ran on the 4x1 at Ohio State a couple years. And really found myself recently like, okay, I'm going to get back on the track. My daughter's running track. I'm going to get back into it. I've been recently running a couple 150s, some 200s. And I ain't got it. Like, I don't got it. So to see him run 10.3 right now, you know, and I'm a prideful guy, that is something that is mind-blowing. And then you put, you know, we saw what it was on the football field last year when he walked somebody down and we were just, you know, mind-blown how fast he was, how big. But to see this out on the track amongst these other track and field athletes who train, you know, their entire lives for these kind of moments, it's special. And, you know, it's definitely something that we can't ignore. It's a special moment for sure.
Jink, let me ask you this, though, because we get the track stuff. That's cool and all. But a 13-year NFL defensive back who's won 2 Super Bowls is who I'm speaking to. When you watch that and now you see DK Metcalf reach top speed, is that in your mind, if you have to line up against the Seahawks this year, how does just that clip, that 100-meter dash, how does that subconsciously or consciously impact how you would guard DK Metcalf?
Well, I don't think we needed to see this track meet to know that DJ Metcalf is a guy that you probably should back up maybe a yard or two off of if you're playing off. Like, you know, my coach told me ability aligned, right? So if this guy runs 10.3 and you run 10.7, you know, you give yourself another 2, 3, maybe 5 yards of cushion if you need be. But I think we already know what DK brings to the table and his size, speed, ability to go up and get the ball. It's just, you know, he's one of those generational athletes that you know, we're watching as a young guy.
All right, Sacho, you have the high school record, not in track, but in field. You threw the discus. Actually, you have the record in shot put. I have the record in discus. Anyway, I won't brag. I just did. Sam, how impressive was DK Metcalf's 100-meter time?
I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. So, first of all, DK ran a 4.33 at the combine at 6'3", 228. So that in and of itself is impressive, number one. Number two, he's not the fastest guy in the NFL. And so what I saw is 2 things. Number one, let's say you get a guy like John Ross or Chris Johnson in his prime out there running. It may be a different kind of story. You may not be 15th, you may be top 5. But then I think what really stood out to me the most was seeing just how fast those track athletes actually are. I mean, there was a different kind of speed. They took it to a different kind of level. And DK was running, as we talk about. But it seemed like they got faster, and they slowed down even slower. That's what blew me away the most.
What was interesting to me, actually, y'all, is not at all what DK Metcalf did on the track. I showed y'all, if y'all haven't seen on social, I was there. It was a limited track meet. They weren't allowing any fans, but your boy had the plug somehow, some way. So I'm in the stadium, and I see DK warming up the day before, and I'm sitting there looking at him warming up. I'm looking at the other dudes warm up. I'm like, okay, we'll see if he even actually runs. Then yesterday, Gene, I'm watching. He goes 10:37. I thought he was going to run somewhere in like the mid-10.5s. But I go up to DK Metcalf afterwards, and I'm like, hey, bro, what you even do this for? That's what I asked him. I said, and I said it under my breath. I didn't want everybody to hear the conversation. I said, what you even do this for? He said, myself, because everybody else is scared to. And I was like, drop the mic then, DK. Like, Gene, you hit the nail on the head, big dog. So many football dudes talk about being fast and talk about track speed and talk about, they the fastest on their team. DK said, I'm not even worried about being the fastest football player. Let me go out there and run against legitimized Olympic medalists in relays. Let me run against men that are trying to represent the country as a sprinter. So more than anything, that told me about his mindset and his mindset of being a